Hello and welcome to the 3-cam video about Super Mario Bros. The movie. Not the Super Mario Bros. Movie, but Super Mario Bros. The movie from 1993. I'm your host, Dan Video Games, and with me is Bob.
I'm here.
Dr. Aggro.
I trust the fungus.
And Chris Wolfhard.
Bing, bing, wahoo.
We're here to talk about the incredibly important film from 1993 that had such a deep impact on all of our childhoods, with deep love and respect, because, of course, this is the bar for all video game movies ever set.
Nothing else has come out since, right?
Yeah, they didn't make 2 Tomb Raider films. A third... Wait, didn't they make a much later one?
I think they made 3. Yeah, they made 2 Angelina Jolie ones, and then I think they made the new one.
About that.
So did everyone else.
And I think they're also making another new one.
Yeah, they also made the Assassin's Creed movie. And
oh God, I forgot about the Assassin's Creed movie. I remembered the Prince of Persia movie.
Well, yeah, that one was watched by anyone.
It had Jake Gyllenhaal.
Don't forget the Warcraft movie,
which was watched by everyone. Overseas, at least, I understand.
Okay.
We're here to talk about it, give each of our opinions. If you've never watched a spoiler cast from us before, this is basically following that format, where at the beginning here, we're going to have a couple sentences about what we're thinking about the movie, some sort of guttural sound to summarize our gut feeling at the end of watching it, and then all the way at the end of this, you get that delicious number you're looking for to reduce all of our thoughts into a convenient cube shape for you to swallow in a more thorough a diagnosis of the film, or whatever you would call it, assessment. But anyways, let's get to it. We're gonna go ahead and start with Dr. Aggro. Dr. Aggro, let me get a couple sentences of a sound about Super Mario Bros.
Super Mario Bros. Was a Herculean task undertaken in a time of cinematic miracles. It shouldn't have happened. It couldn't have happened. But it did. And I think we're all better off for it. It's, wahoo.
I guess next we'll go to Chris Wolfhard.
thanks to doing this show for so long, or shows for so long. I now know exactly what a movie that went through rewrite after rewrite after rewrite and was a nightmare to make looks like just from watching it. I'm gonna give this a
Okay, next Bob.
Yeah, the Super Mario Brothers movie is such a weird mess, but it's kind of amazing what Nintendo let them do.
Yeah. Super Mario Bros. 1993 is a deeply fascinating film that could never happen again. I don't think we'll ever get the weird Blade Runner-esque alternate world that it looks nothing like a video game's respective world, but we've made it and we're gonna call it that. I don't think that's ever happening again. And as such, I think this is a really unique and interesting gem. Maybe not valuable, but a gem nonetheless. So I must go,
You know, weirdly, that's what Tekken movie was. For no reason.
But at least Tekken takes place in the real world.
Yes!
At no point are they going, this is Tokyo. It's just not.
at least Tekken does get into the shit later where the Mishima Zaibatsu is like a government.
Yeah, absolutely. Where it just loses its mind. You know, like, yeah, you bring up Tekken, and there's also the King of Fighters movie. Somehow, of all 3 of these, Mario Bros. Is the most insane. Yeah, the one that should have played it the safest somehow was the most cracked out.
It's so bizarre that I think, because I remember when I was younger, because I watched this movie like way young, probably in 1993.
Right.
At a first look, you want to say that its setting being in no way resembling the game is crass, dismissal of the source material. But I feel like it might be a more 90s artistic era, like 2 degrees beyond that, where no, they loved the source material so much that these weirdos decided to make a completely transformative interpretative work.
Right. Like, and that's what I was going to say to follow up. It really is the interpretive dance of movies.
Yes.
Here we are in the Mushroom Kingdom. Really?
Because you can't get so many bizarrely twisted references packed into a movie like this and say they just didn't care or didn't want to make a Mario movie. There was some bizarre, like, serial killer twisted obsession here.
Yeah, absolutely. When they have to go, well, we need Big Bertha.
Here's the fucked up part. We were denied so much cooler a Mario movie in the experimental sense because Nintendo explicitly said Mario's too big to fail. The Mario movie can be anything. That is what they told when the people they sold the movie rights to told them, we'll give you creative control, because at the time, no Hollywood studio would give a shit. It's like, no, you sold us the fucking movie rights. Get out of the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
But Nintendo went, no, we don't need creative control. Mario's a superstar.
Yeah.
The initial script was written by fucking Barry Morrow, the writer of Rain Man. And apparently the script he turned in was so similar to Rain Man that people called it Drain Man.
How do you make that? I've watched Rain Man in the last like 2 years.
It was supposed to be like a similar movie about Mario and Luigi being on this journey.
That sounds amazing.
God.
We were denied deeply neurodivergent Luigi.
I absolutely I would say truly neurodivergent.
I feel like there is still a little bit of that left in this character.
Just a little.
I'm still trying to get over the fact that Nintendo went like, no, do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's so dissimilar from modern
That's
Nintendo.
a different age.
Right. I assume this movie changed that.
Yes, it obviously did. Then they got James Genowan, who wrote Major League 2 and the Richie Rich movie and the Flintstones movie.
Oh.
And he did a treatment of it. But that treatment was much more like close to the games and had a really big fantasy element.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then they hired the directors. They hired a husband-wife team, the creators of Max Headroom.
Obviously.
Yes. Yes, I know.
Rocky
Yeah.
Morton and Annabelle Jankel.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, well, we want it to be a sci-fi thing.
They sure did.
And it's like, well, we need it to be more like the 89 Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah. Which I get that direction. I understand why they think cinematically that's a really interesting version of that.
You could really see the We Saw Tim Burton movie
Right,
in the final product.
Yeah, we almost have like a penguin style scene at the end, one might say, where it's just like, that's a little dark. We're just watching the penguin die.
Yeah.
There's a couple more like we were denied something unbelievably great. Dustin Hoffman was almost Mario. Nintendo was like, no, we don't think he's right, but he had agreed.
Holy shit.
I think Hoskins is amazing as Mario in this movie. He might be the single best part of this movie to me.
I think him and John Leguizamo also did like both bring a lot to this movie, weirdly.
They do. Mm-hmm. I think Bob Hoskins does a lot playing the exact same character he played in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
It's a mild shift. Mild shift.
Then after Dustin Hoffman, they approached Danny DeVito. And he read the script and was like, no. Then they signed on Tom Hanks. But Nintendo was like, no, he's been in some movies that didn't do good recently. Say no.
Oh. Man, it was a different era.
Right?
As far as I know, they're like, there was no, okay, we'll get this person to be Luigi. We'll get this person to be Luigi. We'll get this person. There was no like casting things with that. Although John Leguizamo turned down a primetime sitcom for this role. A primetime sitcom that he would have like starred in and produced because it was going to be about his life.
I'm going to go ahead and say still not the bad career move. We had a lot of sitcoms that started up in the early to mid 90s that were this is this actor's main thing, and they just bombed out. If I were to put money on it, I would say this is another Fox sitcom.
It was going to be a Fox sitcom. In fact,
that would have bombed out.
pretty
That
sure.
absolutely would have.
You'll get a few years out of it, and then your career's over.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. There's a specific actor they did that for, and like he just absolutely, it bombed out from there, and you feel bad for him, where it's like, he was a good actor before. You can put him back in movies. We promise.
Nope.
I mean, there's a reason, what is it? 30 Rock made that joke. If you ever want to lose respect, star in a television show.
That was part of why John Leguizamo turned it down. He was like, I'm too big for TV, baby. But apparently the fact he turned that down is why Fox went and made In Living Color instead.
Okay, so technically that helped launch Jim Carrey's career. Because Jim Carrey was on In Living Color, if I'm not mistaken. So, okay. So we're on the good timeline, at least from that angle. Oh, wait, the Wayans?
Yeah, the In Living Color was a Wayans thing. They were the
one
heads of it,
moment.
'cause the whole
Now that
thing
I
was-
have to balance for the Wayans, this is a much
Well,
more
I mean,
there's good and bad
We
there.
got Major Pain, so
Right. Like, there's good and bad.
Yeah, Major Pain's spectacular.
it's complex web.
One last thing specifically about like script and pre-production, but I do have more about actual production later. In the original script, Mario was basically written like Peter Venkman, where he was like this sleazy guy.
I can see why they want to change that.
And then when Bob Hoskins signed on, they were like, let's go in a little bit more of like a general hero guy direction.
Right. Make them wholesome.
Yeah, I feel like even in the final movie, they do a few things that are a little bit farther than you would expect.
Really?
Like, say, the dancing scene.
Oh, yeah.
You mean the dancing scene with Big Bertha?
Yes.
Yes, that was a moment where I'm just like, this is a weirdly this is the horniest Mario movie ever made.
Until now.
Oh no.
Like it never read as weird to me because this Mario was so formative to me for who Mario is as a character.
Oh.
Yeah, so for every other Mario afterward, I just have in the back of my mind that he's a middle-aged guy from Brooklyn.
So
So do I, and Nintendo being like, Mario's 24. Like fuck you.
No,
No.
absolutely
What?
not.
No.
No.
So Aggro, you played Mario Sunshine around when it came out, right?
No.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I was going to ask if you had in the back of your head, like, why isn't Mario dancing with random ladies in order to get shines?
Do you do that in Odyssey? It feels like something you do.
You do everything in Odyssey.
Yeah, no, everything ever
You
happens in
jump
Odyssey.
rope for fucking moons in Odyssey.
I was really surprised there wasn't like more obvious 93 movie references in Odyssey.
Yeah,
I was waiting to get the Thwomp Stompers.
yeah, they actually they did a lot of references to Mario Land, but no references to the Mario movie. Maybe that's even more contraband. Maybe they're like, no, you can't do it.
Yeah, no, I have no doubt that Nintendo has this one in the vault.
Yeah. Speaking of which, not available on any streaming platform.
Yeah, right?
It was like until this year, it was on Netflix.
I knew that they would do this too because I'm like, they named the new movie The Super Mario Bros. Movie. So when people just search Super Mario Bros., they're going to watch this 1993 film and go, and that sucked. Where was Chris Pratt?
Why was it some sort of nightmare?
This is the most you had too much cough syrup and went to sleep fever dream of any video game adaptation that I've seen. I genuinely can't think of another where it's like the thing your brain would do where it shows you an object and at some level your brain in the dream goes, that is this thing, even though it is not. Like
This is a Goomba. This is a fire flower.
That's Toad. So much nightmare energy because of that.
I think that it's really weird that some things I feel like do transfer to the games.
Yeah.
When they first go to the other world, they jump through a wall and it does a ripple just like in Mario 64.
Yes, that's true. And in fact, they're in Mario 64 in Tall Mountain. You jump into a rock wall to go into the special level. So it's literally the same thing doing the same thing. Well, good job, Bob. You're the first person on the internet to point that out that I've noticed. So there you go. Everyone gets to go, oh my God, he's right. It was so influential.
it's hard to notice that part when immediately after is like Bob Hoskins spinning through hell.
Yes.
It was so bizarre. Like that scene. Like it's like the rest of this movie. It implies so many fascinating things about the way this universe works.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of bizarrely hardwired evolutionary determinism are you smoking that both reptiles and monkeys turned into humans?
Right.
Exactly human. Yeah.
It is incredibly bizarre that they're like, I can't wait to wipe out those mammals. And I'm like, are you cold-blooded? You don't, like, you have flesh.
Right, yeah.
And hair.
Right. The only thing different seems to be that they lay eggs.
For me, when we hit that scene of just Bob Hoskins tumbling through the portal between dimensions, which is obviously hell, look at it. I had that perfectly in my memory. You saw it at a young age, so I imagine it's also in there for you somewhere. For me, it's crystallized because of the Giles theme goes with everything meme, where I saw him screaming and falling to hell to that song, and now it's just locked in, baby. This movie, they have to go, well, the Mario Brothers jump high. How are we going to do that? What about weird industrial boots with rockets and canisters? And
The canisters are bullet bills.
Yeah.
Like, those things are a lot more thoughtfully designed going back to this movie now than I thought they were. Because when I was a kid, I thought it was that they just, like, pneumatically pistoned out and that's how you jumped. And I'm like, that would break your spine. But if you actually watch it, like, the thing activates and you slowly lift into the air on the jet stream on the back of the boot.
Yeah.
And that piston is just there to sort of start that process and cushion you as you land.
yeah, the piston starts the process, and then the canister causes the string to come down to lift the actor up to take them across the stage. But no, you're right. If it was just gashunk and they were in the air, I would want to see Mario ragdoll like he was a Gary's Mod character.
Later on, when Hoskins is using the boot as its own projectile.
Yes.
I remember even as a child, I kept thinking, you're holding a bullet bill in your hand.
Yes.
My guy.
Let's take out the middleman.
Man, you want to talk about references that really land. Them treating bob-ombs like they're the atomic bomb is so good, where it's just guy driving down the road, sees the tiny bob-omb and goes, ah!
I think that it bothers me that doesn't have a better prop. Like, there's so much in this that has like an immaculate prop, and it's like this dinky little thing that looks terrible.
It's so
You
funny.
can in HD, you can tell how poorly it's painted.
It's so funny, man. Everyone's afraid of it.
Yes, that part is great.
So something I didn't notice the first time I watched this movie, because I was like 9. The cars have like, or they're set up like bumper cars where they have like the antennas that attach to the power grid and give them power. Because there's no fucking fossil fuels in Dinosaur Planet.
Yes. I realized that for the first time this watch as well.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm not a dipshit. I'm just gonna go.
I was like, this is like brilliant world building. Like, who made this fucking movie and why?
Yeah, that's something that I actually did notice a little bit of. I don't think the very first time, because I probably was like 5. But when I saw it when I was like in middle school or so, I was like, oh, that's the idea. I didn't connect that they didn't have fossil fuels. I just got that they're on a power grid. And I was very bothered that wire didn't go anywhere. Because it's like, it goes up like 10 feet to nothing.
Well, like when the cop cars pull into the garage, they've got a charge thing. And certain areas have them. So I think they're just constantly topping off their batteries.
Oh, maybe that's what's going on.
Yeah, very low capacity batteries.
Now
I'm
the
so
question
upset that
is-
this is how I have to realize this in the middle of a 3-cam video. They have no fossil fuels.
Now the question is, does everybody have the fire guns and the electric cattle prod guns just because, okay, there was some version of the script where the guns were visibly flower shaped and like they're the fire flowers? 'cause they know fireballs.
because the Mario people, they shoot fireballs. So of
Yeah.
course this is how they arrest people. Even they just light them up with these torches.
I think that it's so funny.
But with the electro guns too, I was like, did the directors, who appear to be very stupid, based on what I gathered from, like reading about the production of this film, they got literally every single person involved to despise them because they kept changing the script to the point that Nintendo brought on new writers. And it's like, the directors cannot talk to you. They are not allowed to talk to you.
Yeah.
Because they will fuck it up.
Yeah, there were problems, clearly.
Did they just think that gunpowder was also a fossil fuel?
No, I don't think that. I think it was just another avenue to put even more references in.
I assumed internally, because this is the thing that I do. If you've got that prevalent of an easily accessible electrical grid, you might as well have an electrical-based weapon. And the only 2 plants you ever see in Mario are like piranha plants and fire flowers. So if that much of your planet's biomass is combustible and it grows out of the ground, you may never need to produce gunpowder, and you'll never really come up with projectiles because flamethrowers are just this efficient from the get-go.
There you go.
Meanwhile, what I'm paying attention to while watching the movie is just like, they reference some rivalry with the Scapellis at the beginning. Scapelli plumbing, and that was it for a bit. They just go, they beat us, and they don't show anything. And,
that's how plumbing works.
And then, yes, right. And then I remember, like, because I didn't do any research for this video, I just read about this years and years ago as more and more information came out. There's like a fan edit of the movie where they keep inserting scenes that were just wholly removed that explains it. There were scenes with Scapelli plumbing and other things at the beginning to show this rivalry. So as I'm watching through the movie this time, I'm just realizing moment after moment where it is just whole cloth removed, a transitioning moment, and you just get an ADR, we're gonna race them there. Why are we going down this alley? And it's just like, man, there's so much in this movie that abruptly ends and abruptly gets from point A to point B.
The directors were also not allowed in the editing room. They were not allowed to have any fucking say in the editing at all.
After seeing the final edit, I argue the editor shouldn't have been allowed in the editing room.
Everybody hated these people. Bob Hoskins would lit them up constant. Every time he had the chance to light these people up in interviews, he did.
Do you think the Mario movie is God's way at striking back at Bob Hoskins for having pattern recognition, being like, well, Who Framed Roger Rabbit went great. I'll do another sort of film aimed at the same demographic. And God was like, ha ha ha, sinful hubris.
The most common thing they all said was, yeah, despite being fucking married, they would tell us different things on the same day.
Oh, that's, yeah. That actually, yeah, that is a problem with like a directing duo that doesn't perfectly mesh as a directing duo. Yeah, that makes, okay.
Dennis Hopper said, yeah, at some point I just quit looking at the script because it changed multiple times per day. When it was time to film a scene, I was like, give me my lines. I'll learn them right now.
Oh yeah, your lines. Order a pizza.
That is one of the best scenes in the movie.
It is.
Because like you've got this like last city on Earth ruled by this one guy, but he's still video calling for his own pizza, and it's some random teenager who's like, oh, it's the man in charge of our entire civilization.
Right. It shows you how bad they are over there. Like, just how bad society has gone.
This city is described by Koopa as being a miserable couple of streets, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the pizza still can't get there quickly?
Well, to be fair, he did the most evil thing imaginable, which is order a pizza and then leave the location to which he ordered it.
Yes, that actually is evil. That's pure evil. That's the most evil thing Koopa does in this movie.
Well, he had to get to the final scene of the movie, so he had to leave.
Yeah, look, you want to talk about just how weird the movie gets as it goes, and it shambles on, crushing under the weight of delivering a conclusion to the film. It really is. Well, I got to get over there because that's where they are, and we need to have the climactic moment of this movie. Oh, wait, we're going to go back to the human realm for one moment to have a scene at the construction site, and then we're going to come back here to do the actual conclusion of the movie. And I'm like, you know, these are like 2, maybe even 3 different ways to end this film that you kept gear shifting between as you went.
Yeah, it really bothered me because like the rest of the movie leading up to the finale, it's kind of a mess, but still enjoyable. That finale is just garbage.
It's really
Yeah.
weird because they even do the news report later where they're just like, you know, the Mario Brothers, they saved all the ladies who were trapped in the Mushroom Kingdom, and I'm like,
God, that part kills me. It's like, what the fucking local news is talking about another dimension? You could have kept it as they saved these women from whoever. They're the Super Mario Bros.
Like, everybody saw that guy get turned to goo. Like,
right, yeah, it's they're like, so why did that guy turn to goo? Why'd Scapelli turn into a monkey? Sorry, monkey.
every line out of Dennis Hopper's mouth is gold.
Every time he built up to one and I knew it was coming, I was like, say the line. And I'm saying this at the movie. Monkey.
One thing that I didn't really pick up until this time, which might have been a little, you thought about this too hard, was the germaphobe angle of his character.
Yeah.
And that's why he's always got T-Rex hands.
Yes. Now, the interesting thing to me is my mythos in my brain, because I also was focusing in on that element of that character. I figured that was like Hopper bringing that or whatever to the character. And he's just like, well, he needs to have a thing. He doesn't have a thing in this movie. This is going to be his thing. And then they just start rewriting around there. They're like, he says he needs to have a thing. He's a germaphobe. Can we get like white hand casts to put his hands in? As a kid, that actually fucked me up seeing that. I'm like the hand cast, because he sticks his hand in the water and then it does that, and I'm just like,
dude, like the
it's
wax.
Like, right. But to me, it looked like clear water, and he sticks his hands in, and when it comes in, it looks like it's covered in wax. And as a kid, I was like, because I know what peroxide is. I got engineered enough as a kid to know what peroxide is and what it looks like. And I was like, did he just use like a really strong
Oh my God.
peroxide or something to just burn his hands to get them clean?
Again, this is just damage from it being a nightmare. Literally just airing a nightmare in television.
Which
Those wax things were a thing back in the 90s, and I think they came back again a while ago in the interim, where you just dip your hands and your feet into wax.
and then you rip off the wax.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, it cleaned out the impurities in my skin.
That makes sense.
Toxins or whatever.
Toxins. I was gonna say, you said you probably you probably watched the movie when you were like 6 for the first time, right? Something like that. Thereabout. Or yeah, when it came out, roughly. Bob, do you know about when you?
Yeah, I probably saw it like in theaters or something.
Chris, when do you think?
Almost assuredly in theaters.
Aggro, I don't have evidence for this, but as I keep checking my memory banks, it keeps coming up dry. I think the first time I saw this movie is when I was 18 and you told me this movie was great and handed me your DVD. I think I only saw pieces of it running as commercials up until that date.
I mean, that's about when I got that DVD.
Right.
'Cause I remember I found it in an FYE bargain bin.
Yes.
Right next to Assemble Insert, and I bought them both. And I'm like, this is the greatest purchasing decision I've ever made in my life.
All investments from this day forth will be nowhere near as good as this one. And then I ran up and I was like, Agra, they invented a thing called Bitcoin. Do you want to buy some with me? And Agra's like, no, I've peaked. It should be less scary as an 18-year-old. And yet somehow, seeing what they've created, this interpretive dance of a film, inspired by the very same greatness of Wahoo Bing Bing, you just look at every layer of it and just go, I guess Big Bertha, this giant fish, could be a busty black lady in a dance club who steals the stone. What a weird thing to put in this film, but thank you, I guess. It just helps reinforce that Bob Hoskins is a fucking Chad Mario who can win over the ladies and get the jewel back and has a second love interest in the real world that gets to the Mushroom Kingdom, but then later when they run into them at the construction site, when they get back from the Mushroom Kingdom in the climactic moment of the film, she acts like it's weird that he's there. What was the ending of that
They
film?
had gotten separated.
Yeah.
And then their group traveled over, so she didn't know how he got there.
But there was just this moment of, what do you have to do with this, is how the tone reads. And I'm just like, but you were there in the other dimension with him. Shouldn't you be more scared by Koopa being here? I feel like that's more...
There is that really weird moment where Bob Hoskins Mario is like running a distraction on Koopa, where he's like, I have the stone, and he's holding in his palm so that Koopa can't see it's not actually there. Mm-hmm. And then Princess Daisy shoves it into the meteor to like use the dimensions and they go through, but then Mario and Koopa also start disintegrating in a totally different location. But it's not like Mortal Kombat, the realms are combining. It's like just these groups of people.
Yeah, it's weird that he wants to take over the world by doing the combination thing, and it's like, do you realize it's just one city that you're bringing over? And you might have noticed people in the human world have guns?
Yeah, that would have been a really funny alternate ending where he just comes over with all his fucking Goombas and his obviously painted super scopes that were the de-evolution guns.
Yes.
So good.
That was. Yeah.
And then the NYPD just ventilates them.
The best part, they didn't de-evolve anyone before the NYPD did this. They thought it was a gun and ventilated him.
Fair.
Yeah, no, that's just what would happen.
I don't know how many rounds of 38 or 9mm it's going to take down a Goomba. I don't know what that chest cavity is like.
That's fair, yeah.
Like, those things are actually kind of terrifying.
They are.
Their heads are tiny little things that'll probably just explode on the slightest impact.
You can hit it.
Bob's like, I would simply headshot.
Like, he describes them as loyal, lethal, and stupid.
Yeah.
And I feel like those things would just rip a motherfucker in half.
Oh, yeah.
They're so terrifying.
Oh, yeah, absolutely terrifying.
Like that
Unless you
elevator
sing a
scene is-
jaunty tune.
Yeah, the elevator scene is always white knuckle for me. It's scary because I know I've had a nightmare about being in that elevator and that plan fucks up and it turns into a blender.
That you just get ripped in half like Superman rips in half a phone book. Yeah, I was gonna say, it is really interesting that the Goombas are this terrifying and no one's modded them into Resident Evil 2 Remake yet. As far as I know, there's no Mr. X replacement that turns Mr. X into
Just
a
hear the
Goomba.
harmonica from the distance.
Yes! Yes!
Everybody knows this, I feel like, but Toad, who gets turned into a Goomba in this movie, is Mojo Nixon.
No, I have no idea.
Yeah, Mojo Nixon, the rockabilly musician.
I just always wondered why he had an accent. Where is he from?
I was really bothered they didn't.
Virginia.
No, I mean, like, there's only one place on that planet.
Yeah, but there's like two sides to the city, aggro. Come on.
I mean, that's reflected
They're
when
hard,
they...
though. They only built the one street.
I know.
That's really reflected and reinforced, though, when they save the princesses. They're like, yeah, they're all from New York. Well, she's from Queens, but she's all right. They do the same thing over there. Well, actually, the Mushroom Kingdom, I guess. Did they have any other term for that realm? Because, this is 2 years, technically 3, I think, after Mario World. So there's a dinosaur world and things like that, dinosaur land.
Yeah.
So it's just like, this is the Mushroom Kingdom. It's all desert, except for these two streets.
I think in production material, they call it Dino Hatton. Like Manhattan, but a dinosaur. But I don't think they ever say that in the movie.
No, I don't
No.
No, kind of weird.
Did they ever make it clear why the king turns into a mushroom?
He de-evolved
Oh, he got hit.
into
That was
bat.
he de-evolved into
Yeah,
it.
they
De-evolved
de-evolved him into bat.
fungus.
Right, which has always been weird for me because I'm like, everyone else is a dinosaur.
Yeah, and clearly Daisy is also a dinosaur. So,
Wait, how's Daisy clearly a dinosaur? One moment.
well, she hatches from an egg.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. And that was actually at the beginning of the movie when I still had that fresh in my brain. I already deleted it since. I'm watching the egg and I'm like, now, wait a minute. Her dad's a mushroom.
Yeah, right?
Maybe her dad's just like he is all of the fungus on the planet, and he's this immortal god being that eventually took human form.
I mean, they don't re-evolve him at the end. He just undoes it.
Yeah, he
Somehow.
decides. There's a moment where Dennis Hopper's Koopa is talking to the big gelatinous thing on the throne, and they still have the throne in like
I
the
know.
white
That was
tile
very
room.
polite of
And I'm
them.
like, this is. I don't want to say it, even while I'm sitting alone watching this movie. This is weird enough to be a Dark Souls setting. We're like, this is a Dark Souls boss. It's fucked up and weird and kind of cool, and nobody's explaining it.
I think it's really weird that that's in the communication bay. And all I could think of was Super Metroid. Like, that's the Super Metroid plant boss. He just is that. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah. I see that, yeah.
It reminded me of the massive eggs around the sick Firekeeper in Dark Souls.
I just need the artist interpretation of aggro in a room in darkness by himself, just going, "Is this Dark Souls?" The fucking Mario movie. So I hope we could get through the new Mario Bros. Movie without going, "Is this Dark Souls?"
No. I've seen Peach. She's got a halberd. I know that strat.
So I think at the end of the day, I'm really glad this movie is as weird as it is. Because the new one's going to be a way less weird film. And so we get both. And that feels great.
I think one disappointment with the new one, it is not live action. There's something fascinating about seeing them interpret Mario and Luigi is people.
I mean, there's something...
And they're canonically not.
there's something almost cruel about Mario. And it's more cruel in live action. Being the voice of Mario is already weird enough. Look at everything that's happened since they announced Chris Pratt is Mario. But to do it to a living being, to visually, you be Mario, is like, you're not going to get as close as Hoskins, and you're not going to be the joy of Martinet. So what are you going to do? Just die?
It's like being told be live action Bugs Bunny, or like be human being Mickey Mouse.
Right. It's not easy. Like, to ask that of a person seems so cruel and yet so delightful.
No,
Make them dance for us.
We can do it. Just take any competent comedic actor and we'll set it up like it's the fucking Santa Claus. And by the end of the movie, you've got so much prosthetic on.
Oh my God.
No, I don't want to see that like Unreal Engine Mario render.
Oh my God.
So there's something very important we need to discuss about this movie. The characters of Iggy and Spike.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who are Koopa's nephews, and they're his useless, goofy comedy minions.
I wonder if he's going to say the same thing I thought while watching it go.
Well, I was just going to posit my new conspiracy theory. So this movie came out in April 1993. The first episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers debuted in October. Haim Saban has been involved with Mario shit. He was the composer of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show theme, and that show was a Saban Productions product. And like a month after this movie came out, they were redoing reshoots for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers pilot that added Bulk and Skull.
See, this is funny because I agree with your theory, but my theory was actually about the before, because this movie comes out 3 years after Home Alone. And those goons absolutely have the vibes of the two criminals from Home Alone.
Well, I was going to say, like, those two are the quintessential 90s two idiot squad.
Right.
Like, I'm so sorry, but I thought about Biodome.
Oh my
and
God!
how that's the worst possible version of that.
Yeah.
And these two are just some of the best. And I thought, like, this is some Bulk and Skull level shit right here.
Wow.
It's hard not to think of Biodome because Richard Edson, who played Spike, which is the red one, already has the energy of the Baldwin that's in Biodome.
I feel like that's cruel to say of anyone. That Baldwin in Biodome's terrible.
But Fisher Stevens, who is Iggy, the blue one, just has so much of the energy Skull does from Bulk and Skull, especially when they get evolved and are now smart.
Yeah.
I think my favorite arc in this film is their arc. Iggy and Spike, you know, they're too stupid to be helpful to Koopa, so he evolves them to make them smarter. But then they're too smart to want to obey him because they realize he's doing a really bad job.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of it was cut out, like everything in the movie.
Yes.
Maybe. Because, like, they're running through the hallway with Daisy, and they're like, you know, we've always been supporters of your father. And I'm like, was there something about that was cut? Or are these brilliant bastards just lying to get them to take them with them?
Oh, I assumed it was that one for sure, because if you recall, it's like, hey, here's your dad. Anyways, we should retreat. And then they just leave. Probably the most consistent through line left in the film after the editors riddled it full of bullets. Because every other thing just has so many question marks and weird odds and ends to it. You know, like the Scapelli plumbers who get an on-screen presence of
Well, you see their backs.
7 seconds after they...
Yeah, you see their backs running away.
Yeah, they were just
Because they fuck up the plumbing and then run off. And it's like, but this is supposed to be their major rivals, these plumbers, like, over at Scapelli's. And there's, like, at very least, multiple scenes early on or multiple shots early on that do establish that rivalry more and go more into that, which is...
Did we really need to?
I do find the opening of this movie is just weird in its momentum. Like, I think the edit of the whole film's... What is a good word for it? Incredibly fast in a way that, like, I was talking about, and Bob's like, well, you got to do it for the kids. Get us to the Mushroom Kingdom. And I'm like, is that why the edit's like this? Because to me,
That's almost certainly why that edit is like that.
I know I'm an insane, by comparison to the demographic for this movie, boomer. But I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I kind of wanted to know more about that or any of this stuff. And
I kind of wanted to get to know Mario's love interest more.
Daniela, before she was kidnapped.
Yeah, it does feel like we could use more of them, but I know when I watched this as a kid, I was annoyed. Not that it took them so long to get to the Mushroom Kingdom, but this still annoys me. It takes them so long to dress like Mario and Luigi.
I mean, it's really funny too, because they just go, here we are in Koopa's Tower. We got hey, clothes.
Yeah.
We got clothes.
Like they start out wearing each other's colors. Hoskins has a green jacket on and Luigi's wearing red. And then they do like a big dress-up scene to go into the club, and they're wearing random colors.
Right, yeah, which was funny because they wrote lines to excuse the dresses. Did you hear any of that? We're just like, these are my ex-wife's clothes. And he's like, would you date a canary? I was like, because a canary would... Yeah, all right, sure.
And then they finally get the outfits on, and they do the elevator shot, and like this is peak 90s cinema.
See,
right here.
And if this was a streaming show, it wouldn't have happened at all. They would have never worn the Mario Brothers outfits. That would have been for season 2.
Oh my god! Like,
Yeah.
the Shy Guys, I think, got underutilized in this film.
Oh,
Yes, they did.
Were those dudes at the garbage area?
Blink and you'll miss
That's
them.
what's supposed to be Shy Guys!
I only now
Gotta
get
be.
that.
I'm like horrible plastic beach demon.
I wanted to bring up how often this movie will just show something absolutely terrible, horrible, like murder on screen, but play goofy sounds and fun music. And that's like 80% of the movie.
It really is. Like, even if what's not happening on screen is like horrible, it's still oppressive.
Yes,
this world.
Police
And
brutality next to that.
they're like, quick, Luigi, beat him to death. And it's like,
This is why I love this Mario. Like Bob Hoskins is a middle-aged Italian plumber from Brooklyn. He's an old union guy. He knows where some bodies are.
I love him being like his main Mario quote, I'm gonna kill him. Right? Yes.
Yeah. I do really like the part where they just beat up Koopa and throw him in the devolution machine and then
Yes.
that was really good. I also thought the rest of the film would feature more of Koopa's mental state disintegrating.
Which it happens like a few times.
Yeah. Like, part of me just made me think, is the pizza going to arrive and Koopa's just like, what is this? Like, he already forgot.
This line is so good. I kind of suspect Hopper improv'd it. Near the end when Luigi's like, "I'll kill you if you hurt Days," and he just goes, "Oh, we'll meet in the playground after school."
Yeah.
God, he's so good. He's such a great villain, and I hate to say it because I just went through the list in my head. Like, Hopper's so good as Koopa in this. Hoskins is so good as Mario in this. Leguizamo is doing such a good job as Luigi, and I hate his arc the most. Because it's him doing that stupid bullshit of like, my character's thing is I'll believe the stupidest nonsense against the most evidence for the longest period of time. And for no reason, the movie's going to reward me to teach kids that.
This is all about him doing the jump and just believing he'll be fine, isn't it? This is the number one moment for that in the film where he's just like, I'm going to leap into this rock wall because I hear a voice coming from it. Or I'm going to leap over this giant hole.
Yeah, that one's insane. That's like the freaking the other guys thing where they jump out and kill themselves.
Like, that moment teaches the opposite lesson. It's like, all you got to do is believe, Mario. Look at me, I'm flying. Oh, wait, no, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I should have mentioned I'm hooked on something,
Yeah.
which I obviously knew because of gravity.
No,
he
he didn't know somehow.
Somehow he thought the magical world of the Mushroom Kingdom makes him levitate this one time. That is the most poorly motivated scene in the movie.
Yes.
They literally just look at a hole. It feels like the other guys. It really does, where they just look at it and go, let's jump. And then at least Mario's saying it. He's like, that won't work. And then he starts floating. And somehow Mario, who is not the cinema camera beneath him, he's watching his ass hang from a cable and goes, okay, I guess I will jump.
Like the whole payoff for this is at the end when they're in the construction site and he's got one dimensionally disconnected toadstool head and he goes, trust the fungus, and it grows to 10, 15 times its size and bounces back the de-evolution.
So about the end of this movie being a mess.
So in my head, like as in my memory, I remembered that defeating Koopa. But no, it just gets big and he kind of tosses it at him and he goes, and steps backwards a little bit.
And then they just teleport back, yeah.
One thing that blew my mind when I realized it was when Koopa's in that construction equipment, like he's shooting out of and like shooting at Mario.
Yeah.
That is just supposed to be the hover thing that the Koopa's in at the end of
Oh
the
my
ride.
God, I didn't even. Oh.
See, I saw that and my brain went, it's like the drum and Kung Pao that just hangs over, or Kung Fu Hustle.
Yeah, Kung Fu Hustle.
Kung Fu Hustle that hangs over the street that he goes in to transform when he gets this venom bite. I'm like, it's just that. That's cool. Bob says that and I go, is this really is interpretive dance?
That's what this movie's like. It's so dense. Like their entire computer system is the Nintendo Zapper.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
who fucking greenlit that? Like it's insane. Like in the same movie where, hey, look, we've got Yoshi. Remember Yoshi? This animatronic, hyper-realistic dinosaur?
Yeah.
What fucking list of decisions was that?
What, they want Yoshi in the movie. This is a simple fucking choice.
I was really hoping the woman who gets bitten by Yoshi just never showed up again. They had literally had the scene where she was devoured horribly.
Yeah, I was like, Yoshi's just gonna eat her. Yoshi's such a
I
good
thought that was going
boy.
to be the thing. Like Yoshi's going to eat her in one bite, and we're going to play a cartoon sound effect.
Because he does the
That's
tongue
not
thing,
much-
which is horrifying.
Yeah.
Then she stabs him, and it's weird.
Yeah.
But you know, she doesn't get off much better.
No, she gets off
Considering-
worse.
Considering she gets vaporized and turned into a cartoon skeleton in a rock face, and then Luigi like looks at the camera and says, "She's dead," and everybody laughs.
Yeah, they play it for laughs, but it's insane.
Man, she left an impression.
Her death, that room. What year did Total Recall come out?
It would have been around this time.
Because that's the fucking reactor room from Total Recall.
The thing I really love is not the moment that happens when Luigi's a psychopath and just says, man, she left an impression, and it's just like, that skeleton would be horrifying if this person was dead thousands of years ago. That was a formerly moving human being like thing.
And we're
it
going to have to
exploded
go
in-
confront what she did in a couple seconds here.
Right. It's not that moment. It's later when they have an emotional love scene in front of it. And Luigi's like, Daisy, I don't understand. Why don't you want to come back to Brooklyn with me? And Mario's just like, what Daisy's trying to say, she's trying to find. And meanwhile, in the background, this skeleton just being, and they're just having this moment. I'm like, how can they do this? I don't understand. I understand ignoring shit to get through your day. This is so many levels higher than that. These people are like trained by the CIA to just filter outside stimuli that they're not ready to deal with right now because we're having a love scene.
I think it would have been great if we had an Austin Powers moment where Luigi went through like 10 different jokes about her leaving an impression.
Oh my God.
And then Daisy eventually had to stop him.
Man, she's really rattled. Like rattling but
So Daisy, I was like, what? Everybody else is a big actor. Or at least notable. And Daisy is Samantha Mathis, and she does a good job. But I was like, what role got her this? Because there must have been one. So I went to check. She's the main heroine in Fern Gully, which came out like a year and a half before this.
Oh my god. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
that'll do it.
You know, when I was a kid, I didn't understand that Daisy was supposed to be Luigi's girlfriend. I don't know if that got established till later. I was like,
Right.
but why isn't Mario in love with the princess?
Right. And like, I think the most interesting question to ask after seeing this movie is that close enough for saved you a click video games?
I assume so, yes.
Is Daisy in this movie on brand enough?
He did like a movie Daisy picture a few days ago.
Okay. Okay. That's
we have to keep track of it.
Important
Thank you.
update.
I just wanted
This
to be
is-
sure.
This is definitely the first thing where they even remotely imply Luigi Daisy being a thing. So I think we can safely say this movie started it.
Huh.
Did this movie also start the Mario Luigi Mario thing?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I don't think that's ever been in anything but the movie.
I think it might have been in the cartoon, and I don't know which of those. I assume the cartoon came first, but I don't know for sure. I haven't watched the cartoon in forever, and I don't know if that's actually in that, or my brain just went, those are their names.
Yes, the cartoon did come first. It was 1990, I believe.
So really the research I should have done was watching all of that to see if they said the Mario, Luigi Mario thing. You know, we did our March 10th Mario Marathon where we played a bunch of 2D Marios, and then I got to eat my cake of Mario 64. And I did that bit where I'm like, you know, Bob and I on GigaBoots, we go about Dan video games, Bob video games. Well, the bit for the stream should be Dan and Bob Dan. And as I'm typing this into our on-screen name tags, I go, there's a chance none of these Zoomers at all get this joke. And they just see these name tags and go, what? Because this movie's from 1993 and the games don't do this. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, excuse me, chat. You didn't watch the Mario movie from 1993?
So I couldn't notice it in this watch through, but I need to. Someday I'll watch it again and see if I can see it. So Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo were drinking constantly during filming
I don't doubt it.
because filming was a nightmare.
Yeah.
It was like 95 degrees in California or wherever the hell they were filming. They were constantly behind schedule because the directors were incompetent. At one point, in one of the driving scenes where they're driving in the van, John Leguizamo hit the gas as hard as he could and then stomped the brake as hard as he could. And the sliding door crushed Bob Hoskins' hand.
Oh.
So for a big chunk of filming, he had a really light cast on his hand. They painted his flesh color.
Oh my god.
And I'm sure you can't see that in standard definition, but I bet you can in HD. And I was trying to look to see, but I
get
wasn't
that
able to
Blu-ray.
find it.
I do need to get that Blu-ray, yeah.
That Blu-ray. Oof. Yeah, that's rough. Let me be clear. People suffering for their art, that's a controversial thing, but as a person who's suffered for his art, like setting up these fucking cameras and lights today, I kind of side with a mild amount of suffering for maximum product, right? The Mario movie is not worth it's like hurting their hand.
Well, I mean, also, this wasn't like, hey, I have an idea for a great shot of you getting your hand crushed.
No, wait, you do? Go on.
Okay, so we'll get this van. Right?
Okay, yeah, this sounds pretty good so
Speaking
far.
as someone who has had his hand crushed by a sliding van door, no, it is not a thing I would recommend.
I actually had my middle finger. I slammed a car door on my middle finger twice, and the second time was right after it got out of the cast. I don't know what being a child makes your brain do to do things like that to yourself, but it happens. They weren't even upset. They were just confused, my parents. They were just like, the first time was confusing enough. How did he do it again? At some point, you start to rationalize taking a finger off.
I mean, it's
can't
just going to
take
get
it.
in the way like
Right, it's slowing him down.
that. But how else will you be an assassin? So there's a really weird thing that this movie does.
Just one.
It's in terms of world building.
Okay.
Because it's so over designed otherwise. Like I'm that guy who gets mad every time like epic fantasy authors just go and then 1,000 years pass and don't give a shit for what that length of time will do to a civilization. This society, apparently has a continuous history going back 65 million years. Like maybe the Mushroom King was there at the dawn of time when the dimensions split.
He's the one who formed society.
So this dimension's always existed, and this was his realm, is what you're going with.
He may have had that piece of the meteorite the entire time, it getting passed down through the royal family, and no one at any point until it got this bad and Koopa got in charge ever wanted to try fixing the dimensional rift in our planet. Like, that's the natural state of the Earth. That should have been the first thing the mushroom did. Unless ruling his own separate dimension was his goal, and he's really the long game evil guy here.
I think his Dark Souls brain is really just building the strangest lord, the false King Toad.
All I can do is work with what you give me.
Maybe there was some element of like only the chosen one that they cut. Of course, they cut out of the movie where it's like only the chosen princess would actually do it. Anybody else would die and fail.
Daisy said a line about that
Where
once.
she's like,
after
only
the other
I
lady
can
got
because
cooked.
I'm a descendant and not a frigid white bitch.
Which was that lady a reference to anything, Lena? I'm watching her the
frigid white bitches.
the whole movie. I'm like, why are you not Birdo?
Yeah, I don't know.
Stop not being Birdo.
Yeah, because her name I think was Lena or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's Lena.
Yeah,
I couldn't
don't
figure it
know.
out either. They just ran out of fucking names. They didn't know about Birdo. Like, well, obviously, we're not going to name her after the weird dinosaurs in Mario World. And I'm like, why not? That might get funny.
We just this fucking a movie this dense with references. Like
And Lena.
movie theater called Koopa Kino, Thwampa Stompers, just fucking.
Also, they had some sort of bar that was named Bullet Bills.
Yeah.
And it's just on the side, but I'm like, but then there are Bullet Bills that...
Well, those aren't called Bullet Bills. Bullet Bills is the
Yeah.
restaurant.
Yes.
The
Yes. They once again, like a nightmare, the visual of the object is one thing, but the name goes to another.
My God, the Koopa's logo up on his tower.
Yeah.
It's a K made of lightning bolts being grasped by a gauntleted hand, which is like eerily similar to an Air Force patch. I don't know what the fuck is going on
Didn't
there.
the opening of the film have Koopa assault that person in the subway wearing like a decorated
like a
war?
general
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, he was like wearing like the fucking Idi Amin outfit.
Bro, what are you the general of?
Oh yeah, and then like Daisy's mom was wearing like a Koopa coat. No, sorry, a Goomba coat.
Yeah.
Really weird.
There's a lot of weird stuff. And did you guys know this movie's weird? This is a weird movie.
Koopa also, like, things he says implies that he has been alive for like millions of years.
He definitely implied a lifespan that was longer than you would assume for a humanoid-like creature. I didn't pay attention to how much longer, but
And it's there's a weird eugenics thing going on because he's like, I am descended from Tyrannosaurus Rex. And who knows how many other delineations of descended from dinosaur the rest of these humans are. Or if he's doing that, random white guy thing of like, no, my bloodline is pure because I paid some company to mail me a pamphlet that said that.
do they have the I need you, okay, in 20 or whatever. Just mail me this thing. What's my lineage? Oh, 100% T-Rex. Nice. I'm so pure.
Oh yeah, there are two different kinds of Goombas.
At least two.
Yeah.
that we see, which I guess the other ones are supposed to be Koopa Troopas.
Oh, is that what's going on with that?
I guess because they have the more reptilian head.
Yeah, they got the longer snouts. I think I saw one that was even more snake-like.
Yes, there was definitely one that was really snake-like.
So I'm wondering, like, okay, if you turn into a Goomba, like the standard round head Goomba, are you descended from the fungus?
Unclear.
They're still reptilian.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's
I
like
don't think that machine does what he says it does.
really. Make them stupid and melt them a bit. Also, how insane is it that he's like, well, the de-evolution machine can evolve things as well. We just haven't been doing that. Have I used it on myself? Probably not.
No.
I shouldn't be smarter.
No, like, him agreeing to be put in the machine to make himself smarter would be him admitting,
Right.
yeah.
Of course. Also, there's the part of this movie where they're like, By the way, Lord Koopa, the Goombas have a gun that does the thing the machine does now, and they're all armed with it and ready to invade. And I'm like, you can do that? Why did you have that machine then?
It was a prototype. We hadn't gotten it down to super scope.
Damn, these are
levels
like
yet.
world's best like Kickstarter project. They got out of the prototype phase fast. It's just really funny. Just like, and then we armed all the stupid Goombas with them.
Mm-hmm. The thing that might be able to undo their de-evolution.
Don't worry. They're just gonna. I assume the gun only de-evolves, and they're just hitting everything that moves in the human world.
Which I have to reiterate here. Even if you get the drop on the NYPD, or like small arms are ineffective against Goombas, or not as effective as they are against humans. Are you just turning random residents of New York into chimpanzees?
Yeah.
And pissing them off?
Yeah, I think that's the game plan.
You know, a 180-pound, well-conditioned human is almost as strong as a 10-pound ape. Like, there's a level of strength difference here you are not prepared for.
I wonder if Dennis Hopper knows what winter is.
No, I don't think so. I don't think he's done
like the
any
world-
research.
It's like the world's goofiest version of Signs, where it's like, oh no, the dino people are invading, and just cuts to New York winter and they're all dead in the street.
I like that my brain first goes to World War II invasion of Russia, where they're just like, we were not prepared for this. His brain goes to science.
It's pretty much right in the middle there.
No, it's really good. They do seem weirdly knowledgeable of the human world.
And I mean, like, it's Goombas themselves. They are. If you're going to invade New York in the 90s, you really don't want to do it with an army that can be completely undone by one brave urban youth with a boombox.
No, that is dangerous behavior there.
Every time I see the Goombas in the giant suits, my brain is just same as it ever was, because the suit just looks like it's a music video. And then they did the dance number, and I'm like, they have two dance numbers. You know, there's the elevator one, which understandable, the music choice there. But then there's the other one in the streets, where it's like four of them lined up and they get them to start dancing to a song. And I'm like, why wasn't that a Mario theme? That seems like a perfect spot to play some Mario music.
There absolutely cannot be Mario music in this for some reason.
What you know, with the way the rest of this movie is, they would be like, it's going to be the Lords of Shadow situation, where they're like, that was the Mario theme. We just changed it so much you couldn't recognize it.
Speaking of music, there's a song used in this film. In the club sequence.
Yeah.
It's a little changed up. So did you recognize it?
Wait, what? Which one?
Love is the Drug.
Oh.
It's a 1975 song by Roxy Music used in this film and another incredibly over visually engineered film.
Which one?
Sucker Punch.
No! Fuck.
Come on.
I'm like, halfway
Why
through
is
the
somebody
scene
other
going,
than me talking
do I
about Sucker
remember-
Punch?
why do I know this song? I don't know this song. What is this song in? Oh my God.
Big fan of the Mario Bros. Movie. Big fan. Which means by the you know, you carry out the equation, PEMDAS, you do the order, and that means Ken Levine is thus a giant fan of the Mario movie. He
There's
must
no
be.
way he's not.
Zero
chance.
This is very, very brilliant, very subversive. It should end with Mario making a moral quandary he's trapped in.
If by any chance in like the next week you see him on Twitter saying that he didn't like this movie, he's fucking lying.
You call him out on that, okay?
we did the math.
Where's their Snyder versus Mario film?
Oh, I don't want to. So you remember,
Captain N. Snyderverse.
you know, when the Superman is God and he's cruel shots come in and he's descending on people and they're like, and they're reaching up. I'm just doing that for Koopa in the floating pod. It's terrible. It's horrible.
So down. I would be so down for bizarre hyper reality Snyder Mario.
I would also want to see Henry Cavill as Koopa. Because it's just him in like a wig with yellow face paint.
And a digitally edited off mustache. So psychotically, we've yet again spent way too long talking about a thing.
It's a dense loaf.
That's true. It's like some fucked up onion that just gets smaller with each layer as it goes. Infinitely. Somehow the paper can keep folding in this movie. But I think we've unfolded it successfully. Is there anything else, though, that any of you wanted to bring up before we end this weirdly huge video about Super Mario Bros. 1993?
I actually really like the pipe scene. I think that might be the best action sequence in the film. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, where they're sliding through the icy pipe? Oh,
Yes.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
great
they got
stuff.
the mattresses. Also, there's something really funny about get the Goomba mattress. And I'm like, why did you
the
need to
Goomba mattress.
specify that it was a Goomba mattress?
That's why it's so big.
Open the Goomba door.
Go sleep in there with the princesses, I guess.
It's such a 90s conceit of a scene, too. Just like, we've got to have the slide chase.
Take his Goomba lunch.
Yeah. That's...
No, I find it very funny. I literally cracked up because of him saying that. I'm like,
Look, that thing has to be specifically engineered to support the torso width of that beast.
that's true. I do appreciate Mario shoving the wrench into the ground, and as they come up on it, it just launches them. That's really good. So, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Gentlemen, give me your few sentences summarizing your thoughts on the film and assessment of it, feelings and whatnot, and then a score out of 10. A delicious little cube that has a number on it that our audience can consume and have feelings and thoughts. We're going to go ahead and start with Bob.
Oh no.
Yep, sorry, you're going to have to say words now. It's very different for the last hour.
The Mario Brothers movie is fascinating, and I'm glad it happened, but it is bad. It is a bad film. No one should watch it, but yet everyone should watch it. I'm going to give it a 6.
Okay. Next, we'll go to Chris Wolfhard.
Yeah, this movie is fascinating. It is good it exists because we got all these insane stories about the directors. We got John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins being drunk constantly on set. We got Dennis Hopper allegedly going on like a 45-minute rant where he was just screaming at the directors because they changed his lines between him being told them from the scene and him coming to get in front of the camera. And they spent the modern equivalent of $100 million making this bizarre Blade Runner alternate universe version of Mario that is a nightmare. So I'm also gonna give it a 6.
Hey, Dr. Aggro.
Super Mario Bros. 93 is the kind of thing that can only be allowed to happen once in a lifetime. Like all worthwhile art, I think it has remained exactly where it was, and we as a culture have moved around it a couple of times, and I think we're coming back around to be able to appreciate the dense fruitcake that is this ramshackle of a movie. I've said before that I have nothing but respect for anything that's gonna just swing this hard, so I'm gonna have to put it up at a 7.
Just as a quick aside, with the way cinema is going and the weird transition, possible transition, we need to see how it plays out, back to lower budget films, do you think we're re-entering the beginning of 80s filmmaking and that 10, 15 years from now, we end up at another Mario Bros. Nightmare?
Man, I want to see the Nightmare Universe version of Zelda.
That'd be really good. Yeah. That'd be really good. Super Mario Bros. 1993 is a movie. And as a movie, kind of awful in countless ways. The soundtrack mostly stays in one tone the whole time to try to distract you from the on-screen horror. It doesn't really have any strong through lines. It doesn't have any interesting concepts that the characters in the movie have to weigh at all. They just sort of go, parallel dimensions, whatever, let's get the fuck out of here. And that's kind of like the tone the whole movie has. Almost ethically unaware of everything transpiring the entire time. But it's a deeply fascinating film in so many different ways. I think, it's always said that people should engage with bad media more to learn. And this is definitely a very insightful film. Hollywood has not produced many films that could be as informative about what else Hollywood could have been. This is literally the alternate dimension to what Hollywood is normally, that you get to view through this movie of like, yeah, they don't let that happen. That is absolutely like, you said permitted once in a lifetime. My brain went, it is not permitted. No one would ever sign up for this. Still, it's really not a good film. I would have to give it a 5, and a lot of that is really right on, you should watch this. This is really interesting and important. The executive producers for this GigaBoots video are Esme, Ely Broyles, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, A Reminder for Symphony of War, Cooper Tank, Very Best Plot, Iconic Bane, and Rado. Thank you very much to our executive producers. And also these guys. If you want to become an executive producer or normal patron, head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today.